time for another book review. This one is After the Crash by Emma Davies. It's a women's fiction. I want to see if it's a subject. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that they didn't necessarily classify it as romance because I saw it more as definitely as a women's fiction title myself. Now, this was a very effective story, a story that really touched me and kept me engaged from the very beginning. Now, the first thing about this book that I will tell you is today is February 19th, I believe, but this book isn't going to be released until March 16th, so I will schedule this review to go up on release date. But let me tell you about the book. It's about a woman named Louisa Adams. She had been married, I believe it was 29 years, and she was very happy. She led a contented life. She was a journalist. Her life was going just fine. She even had a daughter, and I believe her daughter's name was Leah. Well, sadly, her husband died, and I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. But when she started, not only was she grieving, but as she started to put their affairs in order, she realized that he had been financially irresponsible, and she pretty much didn't even have two pennies to rub together. So, meanwhile, her daughter Leah and Leah's husband Robin had just bought a hotel and they were making major renovations. It was not only going to be a hotel, but it was going to be a destination spot, and they had a lot of uses for the hotel. So she takes up the invitation to move in with them. They had a couple of rooms on the top floor, and that's where she moved into. Now, as I mentioned, she was a journalist, but her grieving process was very intense, and for all intents and purposes, she had stopped writing. So she knows that she has to get back to work. She has to reestablish herself. She has to make her own way in life and get her career back on its feet. So she approaches her editor, and her editor is kind of standoffish, doesn't really have a lot to offer her. And so she hems and haws, and then she's like, well, actually, there's a guy. His name is, I don't know if the editor told her his name, but the guy's name is Isaac, and he's a sand artist, and we want to get to know his story. Well, Louisa balked at that because she's a hard hitting journalist. She writes stories that are very impactful. And now she's asked to pretty much write a conversation piece about a sand artist. And she doesn't want to take the job, but she realizes a job is a job. And if she does a good job and gets her name back in magazines, then maybe her career can start over again. So she starts to look for this guy. She goes to this into the small town, into the village, and she starts asking, and they're saying, well, he could be here, he could be there, but the sand is very dangerous. The coastline can be dangerous. I wouldn't go alone, but here's the directions. So eventually she finds him, and when she does, she's completely undone. He's a tall, handsome guy, a stranger, obviously, but he's wearing a shirt, the very shirt, one of the very things that she keeps nearby her of her deceased husband, and he's wearing the same shirt. So she's just totally thrown off, and because of that, she rushes off, and she's like, I'm not doing this assignment. But she's drawn back to Isaac, and she does start to ask questions, to learn about him, to go on day trips with him and see what he does and where he gains his inspiration. And there's something enigmatic about Isaac, something that draws her to him, and surprisingly enough, something about her that draws his attention to her on a visceral level. But, it's all business until she learns something about Isaac that could totally shake up her perception of the past, her future, and her family. I'm not going to tell you what that is because I think it's deep enough into the book that it would be a spoiler if I told you what she found. So I found this to be a very, very touching story. What Louisa thought wasn't always what she thought. What she felt, she had to reevaluate, and that part of the story was absolutely fabulous. But there was also the layer of the story that involved Leah and Robin, her daughter and son-in-law. Their story was quite emotional, and I love how it was woven into the pages of the story. And I also love how what happened in Louisa's case affected how her relationship with Leah and Robin uh, evolved. I use the word evolved. So it was really a fabulous story, quite exceptional. Sorry, the cat just hit the tripod. Quite exceptional, and I think it was an excellent read. And the publisher is Bookouture, by the way. I got this from NetGalley, so I want to thank Bookouture and NetGalley for this arc for review. I believe I have it for a blog tour, but I don't have that blog tour date written in front of me. But if when you see this review, the link for this book will be in the description box below. And as an affiliate of Amazon's, if you were to purchase the book via that link, a few pennies would go towards my account, but it won't change the cost of the book for you. So that's it. It's called After the Crash. This whole time, the book cover will have been on the screen, and I just want to encourage you to take a look at it. All right, thank you. Bye bye.